I'm really sorry, internet. I'm so sorry that I got on here last week and I shit at you for voting and voting and voting for us to watch Death Wish to then just sit there and complain about it. Because this week we went to a movie that I picked out because it was the biggest name supposedly coming out this week. Yeah, it was shit too, so I'm so sorry, internet. Like, I don't understand. Okay, so we went and saw A Wrinkle in Time this past week. It's Friday. It's 3/16. It's still in Cold Steve Austin Day for anybody who cares.
Wrestling nerd's gonna make sure his people get their due.
That's right. I even tweeted about it today. I was like, oh, I get to use a stunner GIF. I'm like, hell yeah. I'm putting that shit up on Twitter. That'd be great.
So proud of yourself.
I am. I didn't do anything. I haven't touched Twitter this week. Not really. It's been kind of like a lull week. I was like, oh man, Death Wish sucked. And like we went and watched Wrinkle Time on Monday, and just been sitting here all week. Like I don't even know if I want to talk about it. Like at least you guys are lucky. It's probably not going to be a 2-hour podcast. That's for sure.
Right. I was about to be like, you know what, dude? Just go watch the first 3 episodes of Ash vs. Evil Dead, and we'll just talk about that.
That's probably, the way movies are going is probably a good idea because we're going to go see what we see next week, Corey.
Tomb Raider, right?
Tomb Raider, and it dropped last night or early this morning, and it's not doing too well on the old rating scale either. So hopefully, it's just at least action packed and awesome that we can at least look past any sort of plot holes.
Yeah, right. Like I hope, like I genuinely hope that it's not. Like I know it's Tomb Raider, so the story it's supposed to be like a Marvel-esque film because of the stature of Tomb Raider. But I want it to be like more Die Hard-ish or like mixed with Stallone and Schwarzenegger vibes. Like I want her to be like in the jungle being a badass, but just effing everything up. Like I don't really care about what Jewel or looking like. I know the whole plot I think is like her trying to find her dad, but like I don't care about any of that. Like I just want Lara Croft being like a badass. Like why are you on this island? Doesn't matter. You're an adventurer. Got it. Bad guys, get rid of them. Boom. Find something cool. End of the movie. Cliffhanger. Guys still alive. Scarred face. One hand. Some shit like that. Goes to track her down. Sequel. Here we come.
Right. Well, I mean, there are 2 movies already that exist that are her being a badass, and that's it.
Yeah, but like those were so like, hey guys, remember Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and how everybody made wires cool? Mm-hmm. Guess what? We're going to put her ass on wires a lot. Like, and they were filmed in that, like, that campy superhero kind of way. Like, before they realized that, like, superheroes are real people too. Like.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely that campy, larger than life, not really very realistic style of movie that was kind of popular back then. It was kind of the same time as like Mummy, movies like that are real campy.
Yeah, but the Mummy was the shit. I don't care what anybody says.
I'm not saying it's not. It's still, I mean, Brendan Fraser's awesome. It is Brendan Fraser, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's awesome. So it's
man,
like,
he's making a comeback too, man. He's talking about his depression and how he was out of movies a little bit. He's getting his role back and got some hair somehow. Dude, he's doing great. Like,
nice.
Brendan Fraser's making it back, man. I love Brendan Fraser. I want him to come back like jacked for some supervillain role that no one would expect him to be in, and like just like look rough and beaten, but like he's super fit. And I want everyone to be like, oh snap, Brendan Fraser, holy shit, dude, like this guy's fucking back. And I want him to say something like kind of goofy because he's classically trained. Like
right.
He's a classically trained actor, and he always acts in this like goofy ass shit.
Right.
And I really, really want him to like have like a serious role, but kind of have like some Loki moments where he just says the funniest shit in the world, and you're kind of like, oh, you cheeky little bastard.
So you want him to do like a Mickey Rourke, but not Mickey Rourke. Like
when Mickey Rourke did The Wrestler.
Uh-huh.
I want like a Mickey Rourke like that. Like when Mickey Rourke was in Iron Man, I don't want that.
Not like that.
No.
No, The Wrestler was, The Wrestler, he was awesome in The Wrestler. Yeah, that's a good, I'd like to see, Brendan Fraser kind of dropped off the map there for a while, and it'd be cool to see him back in some stuff.
Yeah, man.
So
I'd be like, he's one of my favorite actors of all time. I don't care, dude. When they were kicking him down on the internet, I was there. I was there. I was there kicking him down too, because I was like, what the hell happened to my man?
Well, here, I'll tell you what. While I'm introducing everybody who's new to our show, get on your computer and tell me if he's got anything in pre-production yet.
All right.
All right. So, for anybody who's just joining us, welcome. If this is your first time here, this is the Two Dads Review Podcast. We are a weekly podcast that reviews, recaps movies, TV, whatever we decide to be on that week. Right now, we're kind of in a string of movies. We did Black Panther, we did Death Wish, Groan, we did Annihilation, which was great, but Corey hated it. Corey's the guy who's Googling right now. My name's Clay. We're your two resident dads here. And if you ever need to find us, you can always find us at twodadsreview.com. That's our audio boom site. That will take you to where you can listen to all of our stuff there, or links to other great places you can listen to our podcasts as well. Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Public Radio. All of those places also carry the podcast. So subscribe, share if you start to like and listen what you like what you listen to. And you can also always check us out at the Two Dads Review YouTube channel. Yeah, that's all about us. Corey, you got something on Brendan Fraser over there?
Yeah, dude, I forgot he was in that new Trust TV show.
Oh, did he? Oh, that's right.
Yep.
What's that on? Do you even know?
Probably FX, because it seems like an FX show to me.
Cool. What's it about? Do you know that? What's the tag? What's the
okay, so it takes place in Rome, 1973. John Paul Getty III, the heir and a young member to an oil tycoon saga, like stages his own is kidnapped by the Italian mafia in order to get a ransom. Yeah, so something along those lines. It's pretty popular.
Interesting.
So yeah,
check it out.
So that's the comeback, man. He's making his comeback.
That's all I need is another TV show to watch.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I know I'll never watch it, but I hope he does well.
So we saw A Wrinkle in Time. This is a movie. Okay, I'm not even worried about spoilers, guys. I usually get online and I try to find a nice breakdown of the plot so I can make sure we cover all the steps. You know, we like to step through the plot on this show, kind of walk you through the movie, talk about interesting aspects of this movie. Up until Wednesday of this week, which is almost a week after release date, Wikipedia didn't have a write-up on it, so no one had taken the time to be like, I want to write about the plot of this movie. That's probably because there wasn't much of a plot to this movie. So they finally put one up. What's up there is kind of a little bit iffy, so I kind of pulled it down to reference a little bit, but it's not a good movie. It is not a good movie. Now, okay, I'm going to try.
And this is it's not a good movie because we're an adult and this was catered to an intermediate audience, because you and I left the theater both saying, like, I don't know if I show that to my 15-year-old or do I show it to my 7-year-old, because I feel like was supposed to be for the 7-year-old and then they tried to make it for the 15-year-old and somewhere it got lost in translation. And, because there wasn't even stuff in there where as an adult you were like, yeah, that was meant for us.
Right. Yes, there was nothing in there for adults, and you're right. It falls. I heard someone this week reference that it could possibly, in the long run, like years and years down the road, like become this generation, whatever age this movie's made for, which we don't really know. It could become this generation's never-ending story. And I was like, you're fucking crazy. Like, there is nothing to this movie, and don't even compare it to, like, one of the greatest movies of all time.
Just because they hopped on a giant flying lettuce leaf doesn't make it never-ending story, right? Just because they rode something in the sky doesn't mean that, giant dog thing, that's what it is.
That's literally the only thing you could tie those two movies. There is nothing heartfelt. That's the worst idea ever, is to compare this movie to being somebody's like fond memory 20 years down the road, where if it's on TV when you're flipping through the channels that you automatically stop and watch it. No, I could not click off this fast enough whenever I see it on television. Is that rough of a movie? And so let's not completely crap the entire time on it. So let's pick some good things about the movie. All right, there were some things that were good about the movie in general, and we'll go back and forth. So do you want to start? You want me to start?
You go ahead and start, because I can't think of anything.
Okay, so the three women, Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon, and Mindy Kaling's characters, their costumes were like the shit.
Yeah, they were
awesome.
Okay, Mindy Kaling's...
I'm not talking plot. It could be anything.
No, but Mindy Kaling's outfit was on point. Reese Witherspoon was like, whatever. She was dressed like a pretty lady. Oprah, though, there was a joke. Like, whoever tried to make her some kind of epic time continuum space princess or whatever they were trying to make her, like, as a queen. Like, I think they just made her shit look stupid. Like, I was like, dude, this is Oprah. Like, you have Oprah as a canvas and this is what you come out with. Like,
arguably one of the most regal ladies just in general day to day. And you mess up making her a queen of the universe.
Oh, dude, if you want to just like talk about like just just achieving something as a human being, like Oprah has to be in the conversation. And especially if you break it into like categories, like she is an entertainment goddess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, hey, this is legit billionaire because of that little empire she made. That is fucking, and like that's scary. Like she made it by being friendly on a chair, dude.
Right.
Like, she didn't even, like, get inheritance or, like, oil money or invested in stock. She was just like, hey, I'm going to sit on this chair and I'm going to talk about shit. And somehow she managed to turn that into a billion dollar empire. Like, that is, I wouldn't want, like, if I could afford it, Oprah would do all my negotiations. Like, because she has to have a silver tongue, man.
You get everything you wanted ever in life.
Yeah, right? She'd just be walking into negotiations. You get a car. I'd be like, yeah, why do I need all these cars, though?
Okay, so I will give you that some of her, especially some of her outfits are pretty awesome. Like, her makeup got a little bit weird. She had the gems for eyebrows.
Yeah, I don't know why they were doing that second eyebrow thing on her. Because, like, they, like, did her, eyes up, and then they, like... Then there was her eyebrows, and then they were like, here's some encrusted giant-ass jewels on top of the eyebrow. And I was like, you guys are trying to make like a washboard or something over here, man. I don't know what you're doing.
Well, and it's funny that you liked Mindy Kaling's outfits and hair because you're right. Like, I think at certain times she had like 3D printed stuff like woven into her hair. Like there was like a, how would I put it? Like almost like a beehive, but not like hairdo beehive, but like actual like cells.
Oh yeah, she had in her hair she had honeycombs.
Honeycombs, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was insane. Like the girls' makeup on the overall was pretty awesome. Makeup and costumes. Do you have anything? Because you literally took my good thing and like shit on half of it. So do you have a good thing about the movie?
No, dude, this wasn't like it's a pretty movie.
Right, there you go. That's what my next one was going to be visually.
Visually outside of some stuff where you're kind of like, I don't understand why it's like that.
Right.
Like it's a visually
impressive,
appealing, I guess. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, it's not like seeing Avatar or something, you know, like visually pleasing like that, where you're like, holy crap, dude, this is a whole new thing. This is just like, I like pretty colors, and there was pretty colors. And so it made me feel good, you know, kind of thing.
A primal part of me was like, ooh, colors.
Right? Like, I was like, oh, tie-dye, sweet. I love weed.
Right. I mean, you're right. So getting to that, and those honestly were the two things that just kind of were okay, were good enough for me to be like, okay, I'll sit here and watch it. You checked out about a halfway through the movie. You leaned over to me in the theater. You're like, are you still into this? And I'm like, I have to be.
Yeah, dude, I was tweeting during the whole movie, man, sitting in the back row. Like, I mean, good thing it was just like basically you and I in there.
Yeah,
there was a couple other families, but I literally checked out. Like, I would just look up and go, oh shit, I didn't miss a thing.
Yeah, and that's the part. I mean, because there wasn't anything. The worst part, and the thing that I can say the most about this movie is that, other than a few minor like life lessons that aren't even really solved in a realistic fashion that you could like watch the movie and then go and apply it to your real life. Like, there's nothing to the movie, and it doesn't hit anywhere. Like, you watch it, and at the end, you're like, that doesn't. I went to like three things. I mean, usually I have a hard time because I'm not trained in like filmmaking whatsoever. I just watch them. Like I have a hard time breaking a movie into 3 acts because I'm like, well, wait, would that be the end of act and beginning of act 2? Because usually movies are in a 3-act structure more than likely. This one I can pretty much tell you the 1, 2, 3 locations and then we're done. Like that's how the movie went. And I was like, oh shit, we didn't only go but like 3 places. Like I guess that's it. Like that's the whole movie. So it was rough. So okay. So this was directed by Ava DuVernay, who in the past has done Selma, which was back in 2014, which did really well. It was the story of the march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, Martin Luther King's march. I think it was Montgomery or Birmingham. I'm listing literally the 3 places I know in Alabama. Yeah, pretty much. So that movie did well. She's done some documentaries, but that's literally it. That's all. And this is and one of the things I found is that this is the first live action movie with a 9-digit budget to be directed by a woman of color. So that because the weekend that this came out, the top 2 movies that were in theaters were Black Panther and Wrinkle in Time.
Yes.
They were separated by a large amount of earnings that weekend, but there wasn't really much else that came out that weekend to challenge those 2 movies. So
yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't like another Black Panther blockbuster was going up against anything, and it's not like, I mean, you had what, Game Night, Black Panther.
Yeah, I mean, the other ones that dropped this weekend were like Hurricane Heist, which we were not going to see because I'm not giving that movie my time of day either.
Yeah, I won't go see anything with alliteration.
Right? I will not see anything with alliteration. I forbid it. And then I think The Strangers, like some little horror, spooky, scary movie that, I mean, we could have gone and seen, but I don't think that anybody would have cared. A lot of folks wouldn't see that one either, to be honest with you.
No, because that's like a continuation of another movie and stuff. Yeah,
so there wasn't much to choose from, so I picked the lesser of all evils, pretty much.
Yeah, and then not like to like shit on the movie even more for its like earnings or whatever, but you know, like yes, it was cool. The stat there, you know, of 1 and 2 Black Panther in this movie, and both of them being directors of color and everything like that. Like that's super awesome. But also, let's not forget, like A Wrinkle in Time wasn't going up against a whole lot of anything else.
Right, and Black Panther is Disney. This is Disney, and I'm not gonna hesitate on some of the things that I say here, but don't think that release of this movie wasn't timed. Because they literally could just predict who's going to see what. And they're like, well, let's put this one out at this time, like 2 weeks later, and then it'll be big. Panther will still be big because of all the superhero fans, plus the added, you know, African-American community, the black community that goes and sees these movies over and over again because it's still filling. I mean, Black Panther is still selling out theaters in our area as of like last weekend as well. Like, and it's 2 to 3 weeks out now. Like, it's still selling out theaters.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's killing it, dude. Like, it's getting populace from everybody. And, like, again, I just don't care whether it's a black,
well,
white,
I know,
but
I didn't drop that stat so you'd stop talking shit about it. We can still talk shit about it because I don't care who made it. If your movie's bad, your movie's bad. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, and this was a bad movie.
Yes. I mean, so it had a $100 million budget. That's your 9 figures. I think I read somewhere that the advertising budget was another 100 or 150 million, making it like 250 million spent before the movie hit theaters. And so it's got to make like 400 million to get back what it was, you know, to make it profitable. And I'm like, well, that ain't happening because currently, as of right now, it has 50.6 million in the box office.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, it can't have more than like 60 million. Like, I that was gonna be my guess that it's maybe made 60 million.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know, but it's
and I don't. And again, it's because there's like a loss of story in it. Like
right.
Visually pleasing, cool idea. Chris Pine, you could probably get 100 other actors.
Well, I mean, the movie had everybody in it. When I sit here and go through who's in it, I've already went through some of them. You mentioned Chris Pine, plus you have Zach Galifianakis, and you have Michael Pena in it. Like, guys, you're like, oh shit, this is one of those movies that has everybody in it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it had a great cast, but like, Chris Pine sucks. He's not a good actor. Like, I don't like, he just never seems to care. Like, no matter how hard he tries, like, I'm like, dude, I can't buy it.
It always seems like what he's doing is a joke to him, and he's trying to be serious about it.
Yeah, right. Like he doesn't know how to like separate the two emotions or something like that. Because like I like the whole time he's like crying. I'm like, dude, this guy's just covering up a laugh.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what movie is his perfect movie. Then is watch Into the Woods, the one that's based on the Broadway play or Broadway musical.
Oh, yeah.
He plays one of the princes in it, so he's pompous and he sings, and it's really hokey and over the top. And guess what?
He nails it.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, like I could see him as like a live action Gustav, you know, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally him and another prince dueling out, like how much they're in love and how much they like are missing this girl or whatever. It's like it's the greatest like part of that entire movie. It's great. Go see Into the Woods or go rent Into the Woods. You don't rent them. Just go buy it or download it or whatever. It's great. Good movie.
And then, you know, like, and Oprah's character was big and like physically big, but
for
like
no reason.
She didn't really deliver anything on the camera. Like, I felt like she was just reading her lines, you know, like,
they were all working with what they were given.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't care what kind, like I don't care like what kind of script you get. Like, you could still put emotion into bad sentences, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and I just felt she was up there and she's like, "Well, I'm Oprah. I have a unique voice, and I'm going to talk just like Oprah talks." And like that was it. Like, she's like, "I'm just going to be Oprah with some fancy get up."
Well, possibly, and yeah, I mean, and so the writers. Well, actually, what's really funny, so I love reading all the trivia about this movie before I got a chance to start the podcast. So it's given credit to two writers, Jeff Stockwell and Jennifer Lee. Of course, the movie's based on the book by Madeleine L'Engle. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I heard it said 4 different ways when I went to YouTube and had people saying her name. So I don't know. She is who wrote the book. But the screenplay was written by Jennifer Lee and Jeff Stockwell. Jeff Stockwell started with it like back in 2010 or something when Disney first acquired the rights to it. He wrote Bridge to Terabithia, if anybody ever saw that. I guess it was a Disney movie as well back in the day. I don't know. Haven't seen it. But so he had a draft of the script, right? Then it went into some sort of pre-production hell and got shelved for a while. And then Jennifer Lee picked it up. Jennifer Lee is who wrote Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, and Zootopia. So she has some classics on her hands, but they're all not live action. Not that that matters, but it kind of matters.
Yeah, a little bit. But also, like, you know, a connect the dots. Like, you know, when you get done connecting the picture, you're like, I can tell that's a giraffe, but it really doesn't look like a giraffe because I'm fucking 7 and I don't have skilled hands or anything like that. Like, right. It's like she got the story and then she just connected the dots and then there was like an outline of an actual draft.
Oh no, this is the crazy part. This is why Hollywood makes me laugh so much when I learn more. Like, I knew nothing about Hollywood and any of the deals with writing and anything before we started doing this podcast 36 weeks ago. Because this is episode 36, by the way. We're doing pretty damn good once a week. Not necessarily the same day, but it happens once a week. Or you're getting 2 almost like you did last week with Death Wedding. Anyways, whatever. So she didn't touch his draft. Like, she was handed a draft and she's like, "Nope, shredded it." So she never even looked at what he wrote, and she wrote her own.
Oh, so he got credit. So he gets credit for like having put the work in, and then they just burned his bridge, and then she wrote that atrocious piece of shit.
Right, and they were like, "Let's do this." And once again, this is 2 weeks in a row that you and I are both like, "How did this get made? Like, how did they look at this in a screening room and go, perfect, send it out just like this?"
Yeah, dude, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's one of those things where it's like acquiring like a big name quarterback or something, right? Like, and they play like shit. You drop $25 million on this guy per year and you're like, all right, go out there and win me games, son. And then he starts throwing picks left and right. And you go, well, fuck, I can't bench the guy that I just spent $25 million on right. Because he's supposed to be good. I feel like that's what happens with movies a lot of the time. And like, I feel like certain directors and shit like know that. And they're like, "Nah, man, it's passable." And they leave it, you know, and they're like, we're good. And then whoever up at the top sees it and sees like the little 5-minute trailer, because you know they don't watch the whole fucking movie, and they go, "Yeah, that's got the special effects I want. That's got the characters I wanted. Looks pretty, great. Fucking send it out. We got this movie wrapped in the bag. Let's do it."
Right. I don't know what is going on in Hollywood with some of these movies. I don't understand. Like, I don't know how they look at what Death Wish was last week, which is just wooden, which you could just carve a piece of wood to look like Bruce Willis and just put him in the same spot and make the mouth movable like a goddamn nutcracker, and it would have shown the exact same emotion that Bruce Willis showed during that entire fucking movie.
Yeah, that's true.
It's how do you not go, nope, let's just recast his role and reshoot all of his scenes.
Well, dude, I mean, like, I think a lot of it has to do with like the populace, and like the populace is stupid, and like it's this. I mean, look at TV commercials. Like, what gets our attention, dude? Like Old Spice commercials. They make no fucking sense, but I'll tell you what, dude, I could watch every Old Spice commercial in a row and be ecstatic about every one, because I'm like, what's the new weird thing they're going to show me now? Like, this is super awesome. And I think they're realizing that, like, unless you're a big franchise, like Wolverine or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Like if you had a name where they're like, okay, we can't fuck this up, so they go and put a little more effort into it, even though they butchered some Logan movies and just grabbed somebody we would all know out of the top of my head. But right. Those are the only ones they seem to care about anymore. Like anything, like there's no surprise films. Like, you know, it kind of used to be. Read your lips.
I'm sorry. I'm drinking a little bit of bourbon tonight, and I had one that was okay, but then I poured my next one, which was called Larceny. I'd never tried it before, and it is tasty. Larceny, if anybody from that company is listening, I will gladly promote your product if you just give us a call. Just tweet at us, DM us on Twitter at 2Dads Review. Your shit is delicious. Nice. I'm sorry. Continue, sir.
No, it's great, dude. I read your lips and I was like, man, he is fucking happy over there. Like, no, let's talk about that. It's better than this movie.
So true.
But I felt like when I was growing up, and especially in my teenage years when, you know, I could drive to the theater by myself, and before like bars were cool because I couldn't fucking get into any, like the theater was the shit.
Right.
Right. Like, yeah, it was awesome. Mm-hmm. Like the theater's like whatever now. Like, cause everyone's like, dude, I'll just wait for Netflix or I'll stream. And so I don't think there's like any other movies that are coming out that are like in that weird medium budget and they don't get a whole lot, but like you go see it and you're like, dude, that was great. Like that was awesome. Like you already know now, like I can go see that movie based on the posters. I can go see that movie. It'll be awesome. That movie's going to go, what the fuck? And then that one's just going to be shit. And like, you just know it. Like I remember looking at all the theater movie posters going, I'm going to see that. I'm going to see that. I'm going to see that. And like, now I look at them and I go, not a fucking one of you interest me.
Right.
You know, or like when we walked by the posters the other day, we were like, yeah, we're going to see that. We're going to see that. And like those 3 movies, but we all know that they're going to be huge. You know, it's like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 or some shit. Like you're not going to go wrong with that one. That one's going to be a great movie.
Exactly. And to be honest, today on the 16th, Marvel dropped the big trailer for Infinity Wars, like the first major trailer that had a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah.
And it looks insane. Like I am so excited for this movie.
Yeah, dude, this is like Encyclopedia Britannica just getting unleashed into like a Marvel only universe, and they're like, hey, we don't want a pop-up book, we want a movie. And they're like, okay. And we want all of the facts with all of the characters. We want your whole list of everybody. Like it's going to be insane. But that's what I'm saying. Like we already know that movie is going to be fantastic. Like you would have to do so many wrong things for that movie to be bad. And I can look at the other movie posters and go, yep, that's going to be awesome because it's got a huge budget. Like this one had a huge budget, but I was also like, it's a kid's flick.
Well, the worst part is, what did you spend $100 million on? Like, of what we saw, what did you spend $100 million on?
Well, dude, I mean, you could tell that whole thing was in like a green screen. They basically spent $100 million on computer processors to fucking, handle the data.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what it was, and it's like, and even some of there were certain parts of the CG that was fantastic. There were other parts that looked like it was rendered in my basement.
Yeah, that's true.
There were some spots that were not well done at all, and it's like, what did you spend $100 million on? Because literally, let's go through the cast real quick. So, because there wasn't a lot of people, so you're not like dealing with a giant amount of people. Now they're all kind of larger names that can probably command a little bit of a price tag. But usually when you get this many like big names together, especially when they're all supporting characters, because it was based around 3 kids, they're like, I like hanging out with Mindy Kaling, so I'm just going to cut my budget, I'll cut my price tag down, and we get to hang out. It's going to be a bigger trailer. I don't care. Stuff like that. They'll cut their stuff down. I don't know what they got paid, but like because of all the names in this, I'm guessing some of them didn't even have that long their shooting days could not have been that long.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're a big name actor and you're getting a blockbuster film, like you usually get about $20 million for the movie. Like right. if it's like Chris Pratt in Jurassic Park probably got paid like close to 20 million because he's the main dude pretty much in the movie.
Right.
Even if Oprah walked in and was like, I'm Oprah, give me my 20 million. And they were like, yeah, sure, you're fucking Oprah, even though you're going to have 8 minutes of screen time. Whatever. We don't care. We want Oprah for this role. Like, let's say they were like, any number, we'll fucking pay her, right? Galifianakis, Pine. I mean, even if they got 10 million a pop, like you're still.
Well, and sometimes they also negotiate their base salary and then points off of what it makes in the box office.
Well, yeah, hopefully no one made that gamble.
Hopefully none of you people read the script and were like, oh, the script's amazing, but I'm not betting any points on this thing. Because you're not getting any points because it's not making anything in the theaters. I mean, if you want to do it because you like the story, you remember the book as a I don't know when it was written. I didn't look that up. I'm so sorry, everybody who's and truthfully, so I have not read A Wrinkle in Time. Corey, have you read Wrinkle in Time?
No, I didn't even know Wrinkle in Time was a book.
Okay.
You told me.
And you read a shit ton, which is hilarious. Like, my wife knows it was a book. I'm not sure if she's read it either, and she's read
yeah, man, but I read a lot of, like, off the beat shit. Like, I can't, like, my guys, like, are best-selling authors, but it's because they're, like, best-selling authors in, like, specific subgenres, right? Like, like, I don't remember the last time I read, like, a New York Times, like, #1 bestseller book, because I'd be like...
Yes, you did. Because you read Brian J. Jones's autobiography of George.
Yeah,
Lucas.
but that's what I'm saying. It's an autobiography. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't remember the last time I grabbed, like, 50 Shades of Grey or some shit because it was a book, right? Like, it was a big popular book like that. Like, I imagine Wrinkle in Time probably didn't have anything like that, so I would have never
sure
crossed my... Well, it may have when the movie came out, but I don't imagine the book had something like that.
So, yeah, I just paused and just looked it up real quick. And so it was written in 1962. And it's one of those ones that some people like remember from having to read in school. Like you had to go read Red Badge of Courage. You had to read whatever back in the school.
To Kill a Mockingbird or something like that.
Right, which they don't even let you read that anymore either.
Yeah, that's true.
So, anyway, so that's... So here's what I was thinking this week. So I've been pondering this for 5 days because we watched it on Monday. It's Friday. And I was like... thinking of that movie and what I just saw, I'm upset as a person who hasn't read the book because you definitely didn't tell me anything. You did not give me any sort of character development. No one feels real to me that I watched on that screen, and I didn't read the book. If I was a person who had read this book, I could imagine being fucking livid at how this book was done on screen because I don't even know what I'm looking at. And none of it made sense, and it wasn't explained to me in a decent, like, quick, like, hey, idiot, you haven't read the book, here's what you go. They didn't even act like there wasn't anything to the movie, like any meat and potatoes of it, man.
Not at all.
Nobody was fleshed out. Nobody felt real. None of the characters, and this is where, like, I will hesitate more when I, like, how we kind of started hesitating when we were talking about, the director and stuff, because it's like, oh, the first lady of color with a 9 million with a 9-digit budget. Like, I don't want to hesitate. I want to shit on that and, like, go on that side of the argument. But here's where I'll hesitate is when I start, like, shitting on kids because it's not their fault. Like, you're a child actor and Storm Reed, who played Meg Murray, who is the main character, she did an okay job, but I think she had about 3 facial expressions like that she would rotate through. She didn't have a range of emotion that, because she's young and this is one of her, this is like her big break type thing. Like, she didn't have the range of emotion to carry the part that she was playing. Like, she didn't, I never could tell what she was trying to show me on her face. You know, especially when when you have like a 29-foot tall Oprah, that's the same face that you showed me when like you were staring at the bully across the playground. Like, that's not the same face you give me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I think she was like supposed to be a disgruntled kid for most of the movie.
Well, I mean, she had that depression going. Her father had just, was missing for 2 years? Was
4.
it 2 or 4 years? 4 years. I mean, she's supposed to be depressed and out of touch. I'm guessing out of touch. If the director said, "Hey, look, you're out of touch with all emotion because of your father's departure," I would. Then you need to tell me that in some interviews before the movie comes out. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's really working hard with this depression. She has no range of emotion as a character because of her father being her all and then being gone from her life. Like, I kind of can see that. But then on top of that, you have the character of Charles Wallace, who is played by Derek McCabe, who's I think he's like 7 or 9 or something. Like, he's supposed to be playing like a 6-year-old. Like, he does okay, but he's not. He had so much in this movie, and his character was such a huge part that it was not fair to lay that all on his tiny shoulders.
I mean, I think he did a good job, and he was basically the counter opposite because he was happy-go-lucky all the time until the very end.
Was he on this? Okay, was he even human?
I think so. I really don't know, dude. And like, to get back to the actors, like, acting thing, like, again, I think it was the script. Like, they weren't given any scene in the movie except for the very end when there's crazy tentacles going on. Like, nothing required a whole lot of emotion.
Right.
Like, everything was kind of filmed in like, I get it, your dad's gone, you're dead inside, everything sucks, and here we are in this pretty world, and you're supposed to still be downbeaten. That's why Reese Witherspoon like picks on her the whole time. Like, I don't know about this one, where fucking 2 first names boy, because they said it 100,000 times in the film.
Yeah, his name is Charles Wallace, and by God, they let and I'm guessing if you read the book, that's a thing. I'm not sure if he's somewhere like on the autism spectrum, like if he's not inhuman, if he's not like an alien or something from another planet who's been put here on this earth to then bring the 3 whatever they are, Mrs. Which, Mrs. What's It, and Mrs. Who are their names, but we don't know what they are. They're not of Earth, but they live. One of them.
There's some kind of interdimensional beings.
Yeah. If he's not at least kin to them, and he's just a 7-year. Okay, so the actor is 9. Like, he was born in 2008. He's 9 years old. He was probably 8 or even 7 when this was being filmed. So you're talking a really young kid, trying to put this, go through these elaborate scenes, and he had some really harsh scenes to do. The one in the white room where he's been possessed, where he starts becoming possessed, and then like when he's playing like the possessed demon kid, like he had some hard scenes to do, and you're putting this on a 7 or 8-year-old kid's shoulders to carry that scene. It comes off. It doesn't have the impact you want it to, and that's the book. Like, if that's the book, that's the book. I can't help it, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but like Linda Blair in The Exorcist, man, she was a kid and she fucking killed it.
Well, it's true. So do we not give him the benefit of the doubt? Because you're right, Linda Blair. I mean, she had.
Well,
yeah.
Like, it's. I think you do, man, because a lot of these kids are like professionally trained. Like, I remember like reading the thing about the It movie and how he was talking about. He's like, I'm playing It, and I'm sitting here screaming and foaming at the mouth at these kids, and they cut scene, and one of them's like, "Yeah, man, I really like what you're doing with this." Like, they understand what's going on. It's not like, me putting my 7-year-old daughter in front of the It and going, "All right, act it out, right?
She's like, no problem. I'm shitting my pants right now.
Yeah. She's like, hey, Dad, by the way, I will fucking hate you the rest of my life. But like those kids know what's up. Some of them don't because they're first timers or whatever, and they happen to have the face or the chops or, whatever. But I would say most of these kids, like, they want to be actors.
Agreed. Agreed.
And I'm not going to walk out and like be like, yo, fuck you, dude. Like, you sucked.
No, and truthfully, that to get the performance you need to carry the script and the story and the movie that you're trying to make, I blame the director before I blame any of the cast, because you're only doing what you're being told or instructed or led to know by your director. So if she chooses to leave the camera on him for these long takes of him giving this big speech, or she doesn't cut it in a certain way where he seems more imposing and more realistic as this big bad at the very end, so much of a big bad that Chris Pine's character says, fuck it, leave him. Like, fuck that dude. By the way, fuck that guy. The character of the movie, the dad, Alex Murray, fuck you, Mr. Dr. Murray. Fuck you, dude, because I'll just die for my son or adopted son. I don't care. All of my kids, I will die for every single one of them, 3 times over. But he was like, he's too far gone, just leave him. And she's like, and the 13-year-old's like, no, Dad, that's a fucking dick move, bro.
Yeah, well, this guy also just walked into translucent portal and like didn't. He's like, oh God, I got it.
My family.
Yeah, love.
I don't know what.
I don't.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go walk through this, like, and then straight up just I got lost.
Right. So yeah, truth. He was definitely one of those geniuses who can't figure out like human relationships because he's too far into his numbers and too far into what's going on, and like suddenly everything pops up, and he's like, I could go into the wrinkle, which I guess he couldn't recreate ever again other than that exact moment. That's the part that bothered me the most about that. And this is early on in the movie. Like, we learned that he's a doctor. Him and his wife are both doctors, and they are scientists that are working on interspace travel, this going faster than light, but not by increasing your velocity, but by bending space and time, which is pretty much if you have seen
he's basically talking about a warp drive with your mind.
Not even that. If you've seen Event Horizon, that's what I was going for. Event Horizon, the way the ships in Event Horizon were talking about travel with black holes and shit, like it's about bending 2 points in space to meet each other, going through one and coming out the other side, and then space returns to normal, and you've gone a billion light years in a 1 second type thing.
Yeah, so that's what a warp drive does.
Well, not really. We're not going to get into the things of warp drive, dude. There's a whole. It's not like that. That's not how warp drives work. Yes, it goes faster than light. We'll have an entire podcast on just how warp travel theoretically works.
Oh, God,
there's inertial dampeners. There's a warp bubble that's created. There's a slipping of time. But the whole point of the warp bubble is it doesn't, like, people don't age 100 years when you stop traveling at faster than light speeds, which is what the whole. Is that theory of relativity? That's not right. I don't know. Anyways, if you were to, the whole thing is like if you travel faster than light, everybody else ages and you aren't going at the same time and rate they are. So it makes warp travel suck because when you come out of warp, everybody's old or dead or it's been 300 years or whatever. So that doesn't happen in Star Trek because everything you just go fast. You just go fast from here to there. So. Yeah, he's a dick. The whole, like, every choice he makes is the wrong choice by a human father. Like, you wouldn't make that choice. Oh, my wife and my brand new adopted boy, or walk into this wrinkle in time.
Yeah, especially when he says the frequency's love. Like, he says it before he walks into the thing. He's like, my family. And, like, I'm going, okay, so if love's the frequency, like if that's what you have to think of to make this little portal create, like you're telling me you got thrown so far through time and space that you were like, I can't think of my family again. Like you couldn't do that.
Right. Well, I mean, part of it was that he never knew what was real over there. So when he first saw when he first saw Meg, he was like, "Are you real? Is that really you?" Because he's probably been running across. Because when they finally do make it over to, the name of the place is called Kamazatz. Remember them saying that? So the place like where they land on the beach and they're in the white room, Kamazatz is what this place is. And so they land on this beach, and then you have Michael Pena's character, who's pretty much the It or a minion of him, who is there to test them and bring them. I don't know.
Yeah, but basically by holding Wallace's fucking
Charles
hand,
Wallace,
like he somehow gets possessed. He's like, okay, he was influenced by the dark long enough. We've got it. Because like as soon as they get in that little crazy white room, Charles Wallace is like, I don't need you anymore. Basically, he's like already all doped up and crazy.
Well, I'm guessing that. So okay. The only part to me that was like A, kind of terrifying, and B, fucking awesome was when Michael Pena's character
fell apart.
Fell apart.
Yeah.
And so was he the original one possessed by the It, and now this kid is, and so he doesn't need that shell anymore, or that was the shell he was in? I don't know, but it was there was a couple parts, like even the when they show up in the cul-de-sac and all the kids are bouncing the same ball at the same time, and then all the moms walk out at the same time except like the leader mom, and then like all the moms say the same thing, like, it's time for dinner, and all the kids turn around and walk inside except for the one mom, and she's like, are you lost? We saw it in the trailer because it's fucking creepy. That was an interesting, well shot, cool looking scene.
Even then, it was too long, man. They showed the kids like bouncing the balls for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, we didn't catch on.
Yeah, like creepy. Okay, we get it. They're all in sync. Understood. You're in a cul-de-sac. Like you don't need to keep banging the 808s through the ball.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Ugh. But yeah, it was. I don't understand what I watched, which is why I'm refusing to really step through this whole movie other than talk about bits and pieces of it, because I don't even know how to step through it.
Well, it was filmed like if you and I made a movie. It's like it was like it would because you like all right, like, and I don't mean this like
we're stupid.
some jackass just grabbed a camera and started running down the street and was like, okay, it's a chase scene, right? Like you and I. For is probably as amazing as this podcast sounds, it is not without
amazing.
It is not without effort. Like you and I, like especially you, go through the process every week, edit this thing up, chop it up, slice it up, polish its little baby behind, and put it out. And I thank you for that, because that is way more effort than I want to put in anything in life. But if you and I tried to make a movie, like we would sit down and go, all right, that was cool. That was bad. Like we need to reshoot that. And like, that's what we're not trained to do it. So we only have a bar that could be as good as,
what we've seen. Right.
Right. You know, like, okay. Like this was supposed to be written by a professional writer and filmed by, or produced by an outstanding director, and neither one of those things were accomplished.
Well, let's not forget, like, not just any writer, like the fucking writer of Wreck-It Ralph and Frozen. Zootopia was kind of hit or miss to who you talk to, but Frozen, while it's fucking annoying songs, like the story was an abnormal story when it came to like the standard, let's buck the system and not have a hero prince and a damsel in distress. It was two girls and their sisterly love for each other that saved the day, as opposed to like, one creepy kiss by a fucking pedophile, prince.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's not shit movies, but they are not live action. So I don't know if that's what hurt her script. I don't know if the book of A Wrinkle in Time is 600 pages long, and if you take a book that's 600 pages long and you make it an hour and 49-minute movie, you know that they're not covering shit in that book.
That's true,
Because you have to think that something I've read, because like I said, I have literally no experience in anything Hollywood, is that it's a page a minute. So the script for this movie had to be 149 pages long. If we're going on the final cut. How can you cover anything that's in the book? How can you cover any of the nuances, anything, even try to get below the surface of the book? So if you can't do that, why even do it?
Well, because they're like, it's visually pleasing and they think they got enough of a story there.
It's real pretty.
Yeah, probably. Like, you know, but that's what I was saying. Like, when I was using You and I, like, this was filmed by like a couple amateurs who were like, I don't want to put out a shit product, but I can only make a film that's a 70 because I have no experience. And that's what you got with this. Like, you got people who either just didn't give a fuck or I don't know. Like,
maybe she was in over her head a little bit. I mean, Selma was. I've not seen Selma, not because I don't want to see it, just because it never came across my TV when I was watching movies. But I mean, you have one movie under your name; the rest are documentaries. I mean, even if you had filmed, I think there is rumor. I think I read it somewhere that this was going to be shot. It originally was going to be shot in like a District 9 style, like low budget type shooting, and that wasn't the case. But I almost feel like because you pull in a director who has done awesome documentary, because she has a list of documentaries as long as my arm, like up to like recently 13th is one on the prison system in California, I believe, and like it's supposed to be like a really, really good documentary. It's on Netflix if anybody wants to check it out. You have that kind of background, then you need to do like a grassroots, like guerrilla style filming of this movie, and you'll know that. Like, I feel like she went in a direction that she's never went before, and it didn't work. Like, it just fell flat. And I'm sorry. Like, I want to like it, but I don't. Like, it wasn't good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that I want to like it. Like, I just don't care. Like, I went and saw that movie because you put it on the list, and I was like, all right, let's see what it's all about. So, I mean, I totally went in from just a neutral point of view.
Yeah, it's almost worse for you to have no emotion than for me to have like a dislike of it. For you to have no emotion is almost worse of a rating. It's like worse of a review. Like, your movie did not even affect me enough for me to care about feeling for it.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, like I said, dude, like midway through this movie, like if I was at home, like I would have changed the channel, you know, like, but I was just like, I can't get any remote kind of connection to this movie.
Agreed. It was rough. Ava DuVernay, I know you listen to our podcast. I'm sorry. I was like, I'll watch your next stuff. I'll go back and watch Selma because I know it was a great movie, and I think it even got nominated for some stuff. But man, it just fell flat. And if I could walk through the plot, it's Meg, a cute boy who's her love interest, who she doesn't like. They don't even introduce him. The worst part about his character, because that kid kind of killed it in the movie. Like, he played the part he was given perfectly. He had like the swoony eyes.
Oh yeah, dude! Like that when they were like look off into nowhere. That kid was like, ka-ching!
Got
like,
it.
Dude, like every time he smiled, a little diamond sparkled in his tooth because like in dollar bills filled his fucking eyes. Like, right. I won't be surprised if that kid is like stupid famous.
Right, like when they reboot Spider-Man for the 4th time, he's going to be Spider-Man.
Well, just because like every small kind of nerdish like white kid doesn't make him Spider-Man, but like, yeah, I could see him.
The next Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he's gonna be the next, like, whether his acting career is any kind of anything, like he's gonna be famous for being like good looking at first. Like that's when that kid grows up, dude. He's gonna be nailing it.
Yeah, Levi Miller is his name, just so we can give the poor kid credit. Yeah, he's definitely, and he was born in 2002, so that makes him, what, 16? So yeah, he's on his way. He could have, I'll bet you money he was in the running for Spider-Man. I'll bet you he's one of the names who like went to go for the reboot. I'll guarantee you he's in that list because he has that like Spider-Man look to him.
I would take that bet. I guarantee it was nowhere near that film.
Okay, no, not near the film, but like when you go through the list of people who auditioned,
yeah,
for
who
Spider-Man.
they considered. That's what I'm saying, man. I don't even think he's on a list.
Okay, all right, I'll look that up someday.
Yeah,
I'll
you do your little nerd research on that and come back to me.
So anyway, yeah, that kid, you're right. Later on in life, it's going to be like, who do we need to do the next Ryan Gosling part? Ryan Gosling's too old, so who's next? Hey, that Levi Miller kid. He's pretty hot. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Poor guy. So he did okay in his parts, and so it's Meg and him and Charles Wallace, not Charles, not Chuck, not CW. It's Charles Wallace. Every time they say
every fucking time,
they never don't say Charles Wallace. And I know that's improper English, but it's that annoying to the point where you're lost in the woods. They can't find you, and they're still yelling your entire first and second name, which makes me think. Which is what.
That's why he's so fucking angry.
He wasn't even possessed. He's like, just stop saying my full name.
Mm-hmm.
Well, part of me thinks that because of his overintelligence already before he was possessed, like his overintelligence, that they were either portraying him as not from this planet because he knew all the ladies, or on the autism scale. Like, that's the only two options, but they didn't tell me either. And I'd like to know. Like, tell me. Because all the women knew who he was. Reese Witherspoon's character, Oprah Winfrey's character, and Mindy Kaling's character, Miss Who, Miss Witch, and Miss What's It, all knew him, had interactions with him for a long time because they were good friends. When he finally, because he does things that, like, I would shoot you in my home if you show up in my house, lady that's a friend with my 6-year-old or 7-year-old. Like, you would be an intruder and therefore shot in my home. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's
but they didn't look like a gun carrying family.
No, they did not. Are you? Well, I mean, yeah, well, yeah. So sorry, but like, there's times where it's like, how are you not calling the cops? In fact, even Meg is like, Mom, should I call the cops? There's a strange white lady in our fucking house.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
She says it in the movie, and the mom's like, no, wait. Like, what do you mean, no, wait? Like, call the cops. The bitch is crazy. Like, what's wrong with you? You know, but so and then Giant Oprah shows up and takes everybody, including Meg, to this distant, faraway place where Reese Witherspoon turns into a leaf lady, but not before completely disrobing in front of a 12-year-old boy who, unlike any other 12-year-old boy I've ever known, as a former 12-year-old boy myself, would not turn away from a naked woman in my life. It's like, oh man, we don't get naked on Earth. Like fuck you. I would tell that to you, but like,
because he's a damn gentleman, man.
I'm not. I guess I'm not. Then I'm so sorry. So then we go on a magic leaf ride, which you then almost kill Mr. Levi Miller's character until the gossiping flowers catch him. You know, I mean, it's just shit that doesn't. I don't even know.
Yeah, no, it's supposed to be an Alice in Wonderland type story. You know, where they go off on some cool adventure and they take you to some pretty places and they make a terrible story of it, getting you through it.
Yep.
And that's pretty much really all there is to say about it.
Yeah, there is. Like, I'm not going to walk.
There's nothing else to get into with this film. Like, I'm actually running out of stuff to talk about, and I'm like looking at the time, and I also feel weird because it's like a shorter podcast. Because I'm like, man, I feel like they're cheated.
Yeah, usually we're like, damn, that was 2 hours long, but now we're like, it's an hour long, and we're so sorry. Like, I want to talk more about it, but we've literally told you all we know about the movie. I've literally, other than Zach Galifianakis' scene, which is only there to do what? I don't even know. Get them into where they're supposed to go, but I don't even know how they got there.
Yeah, he was there to like be the Mr. Miyagi character and teach him. And even that scene was like him cracking a couple jokes and then nothing.
Right.
They're just gone.
Yeah, I mean, his jokes were okay. I mean, Zach Galifianakis is funny, so it's hard for him not to be funny, but that's it. That's it. So I don't tell you. You know, and then they end up in a white room and possessed kid, and then she finds her dad who's been gone for 4 years, and he doesn't believe it's her, and then he does believe it's her, and then he says, "Leave my adopted son who's possessed, not try to save him," and then he leaves anyways with Levi Miller's character, whose name is, I should drop it at least, Calvin. He leaves with the dad and Calvin leave. Like, for the last act of the movie, dad and Calvin are gone. Like, they're just for no reason out of the picture. Yeah, and I don't even remember seeing Calvin leave when the dad left.
Right? Okay, dude. I was okay. Thank you. There was the part where, like, when I was watching it, I was like, "Where the fuck did he go?" Like, I've been actually paying attention. I was like, "Where the hell did he go?" And then he's just there at the end.
Yeah, it just shows back up. Like, I left with your dad, who wanted to leave his adopted son, who was possessed,
who actually ended up just leaving both of you.
Yeah, he's
whatever,
like, fine,
man.
I'm leaving.
Fuck A Wrinkle in Time. A Wrinkle in Time's stupid. Don't waste your time. Don't go see it.
Yep,
don't bother it.
Spend the hour and watch our podcast or listen to our podcast. That'll tell you enough you need to know about it. Definitely don't spend your money in the theaters on it. If it comes on Netflix, I mean, truthfully, don't even show it to your kids because I couldn't tell you the age range to show this to, like we said at the very beginning. I couldn't tell you to show it to a 7-year-old because some of the stuff at the end is going to scare the fucking shit out of them. And I wouldn't show you to a teenager because they're going to go, what am I watching? So that a 10-year-old, maybe, a 9-year-old, that's about it. If you got a 9 or 10-year-old, watch the movie. It may be their greatest thing they've ever seen, but I don't know anybody outside of that age range who is going to like this movie.
No, I don't even know anybody in that age range that's going to like that movie.
Okay, so Two Dads Review score time, man. 1 out of 100. What do you give it?
I mean, I got to give it like a 25.
Yes, you gave Annihilation more than that. Yes.
And a 25 is only because the visual element of it. Like, okay, you guys got that part down, but even some of that stuff was stupid, so I can't really be too high on it. And any other character or category I would think about issuing towards you didn't give me.
Right.
Right.
And you're giving 25 points to like Intel and Apple more than likely.
Yeah. Whoever was running
it.
the servers, I was like, yeah, man, you guys put your work in.
Nice job. Exactly. I'm going to give it a... Would you give it a 25?
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a 20. Like it's a 20. Like it's that bad.
Yeah,
like it's infuriatingly bad. It doesn't. I would rather it have told me more of the book story and made it 2.5 hours long. At least tell me the story. If the story is anywhere close to being better than this, if the book is this bad, then fuck the book. If the book is way better than this, then give me another 40 minutes and tell me the story because you decided not to tell the story.
Yeah, it's like they took the Cliff Notes version. And tried to make a story.
No, they took the book report written by the freshman in high school that only read the Cliff Notes and only the first 2 chapters of it.
Yeah, and from 1964, and that's what they fucking wrote their script on. They're like, okay, we're good.
Right, exactly. So that has been our less than standard review of A Wrinkle in Time. I'm sorry, we had nothing else to say about it, but we have some good podcasts. I hope good podcasts coming up in the future. We have next week's podcast will be Tomb Raider. Like I said, it's not getting the greatest reviews right now, but it's still action and adventure and girl power. So friggin' awesome. I love watching that stuff. The week after that'll be Pacific Rim 2. Also probably, the first one to do that great in the box office anyways. But let's make a second one, so I'm all on board to watch giant robots fight giant monsters. I mean, how bad can that really be?
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, I just want like a dumb action movie. Like, I don't need any development in why.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I just want to know how you're gonna solve it, and that's all I care about.
Right.
If you want to do a prequel later to get back to the why or something like that, cool. But right now, all I'm asking Hollywood is that you give me a good shoot 'em up, bang 'em up movie that is just a dude on a mission or a woman on a mission. I don't care who's on the mission. Mm-hmm. It could be a fucking dog for all I care, doing throat bites the whole movie. As long as they're filmed awesome and look ridiculous a little bit at the same time, like now we're talking.
Well, it makes me feel like I don't have Rampage on our list, and I feel like I should now.
Yeah, you should definitely have Rampage on there.
All right, I will see what week it falls into, because it may fall into the same week. So after Pacific Rim, we have Ready Player One, which
I could give a fuck about that movie.
But I think it's going to be just a guy on a mission and a whole bunch of crazy blowing up CG shit. So
no, it's a teenager on a mission who's saying some dumb shit, and is like, everybody needs to rally behind. Like, I hate movies with teenagers. Like, that's just all there is to it. Well, like, if you're a teenager or a preteen, I don't want to watch anything you're acting in. I just don't care. I don't like you in real life. I got one. It's pain in the ass sometimes. I don't need any more of it.
Right.
And that's what Player One is to me. Player One to me is a teenager film based on my cool video game references.
Right.
And it's gonna piss me off.
I can't wait. It'll be a great podcast. And all of you faithful listeners, make sure you're watching Jessica Jones season 2, because there's kind of a break in movies. I'm glad to see when Rampage comes out, but it may come out the weekend after that, so I may have to. Anyways, Jessica Jones, we will review that entire season either over 1 or 2 podcasts, depending on when Rampage comes out.
Rampage comes out April 11th.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll tell you what. Jessica Jones is going to only be one episode of our podcast. No, not two. We will make sure that Rampage is in there now. I will put Rampage in the list because it's The Rock and it's giant things, including a giant wolf that flies. So it's close to the dog. I mean, you're not getting like Air Bud Pacific Rim, but you're definitely getting like a flying wolf. So that's good, right?
Yeah, dude, I'll take that. No, like that's I think Rampage is the movie I'm asking for. Okay. Like I really do. Like now I'm glad that you said that because I think Rampage is probably the kind of no-brainer action comedy movie that I want. Like everything on TV and everything in the movies now is like drama oriented. Like even the Marvel films are drama oriented. Like luckily there enough cool shit that goes on in there that they're not like full-blown dramas, but like I don't always want everything to be serious. Like I live in real life, so some giant ass monsters taking over some stuff and some dude and it's gorilla on a mission to like stop him. Like, yeah, I'm all about that. I'm all about that right now.
Right. Okay, so we will definitely fit Rampage in for Corey, and that's okay because I want to watch. The more I see trailers of it, I'll watch anything that Rock's in anyway, so I probably would have gone and seen it the weekend it comes out as well. So I may as well review the podcast. We can make sure we cover Jessica Jones nice and full, whichever week is not the Rampage week. And then also upcoming, we have Westworld. We have Avengers Infinity War, of course. And then last week we got confirmation that if you are a longtime listener to the fan of the podcast and a fan of the podcast, or not a fan but still listen to us every week because you hate us, back when Star Wars The Last Jedi came out, we had Brian J. Jones, the New York Times bestselling author, on. He wrote the George Lucas biography. It's called George Lucas: A Life. He was on our podcast for Last Jedi. We have also got him booked for the Solo, a Star Wars movie, coming at the end of May. So he will be back ready to go for that podcast as well. So we look forward to that because he was a blast. That was probably one of my top podcasts of the length of this show so far.
Yeah, that was a good podcast. That was a lot of fun.
I mean, especially when you got me beers. You got me and him more beers. Like you literally got up.
Hey,
in the
dude,
middle
I
of the
was
podcast,
like, hey, man, I'm the sober guy. Like, I gotta get up for a minute and get some water. I'll bring you guys some beers.
It was great. It was fantastic. But yeah, we've got a lot of good movies. Pretty much the movie of the week that's coming out, we're gonna go see and watch it. If there's nothing that looks like it's a big blockbuster, we've got Westworld Season 2 is starting. We're going to review that week by week. We may combine episodes if there's a big movie coming out during it, like Infinity Wars comes out. So we may have like an episode 3 and 4 review the next week as opposed to like one a week. We may combine some episodes, but we definitely want to fit in the movies because there's a lot of it's summertime. This is our first summer, doing this podcast. We're going to hit our year mark in the middle of the summer. So we're not used to all these movies coming out because we did Game of Thrones like first thing last summer. We weren't focused on any movies at all. We were just watching Game of Thrones. So we're definitely looking forward to our year mark, our birthday of the podcast. We'll have a big, we're trying to make sure we get all this stuff in for you guys. So that's what's coming up in the future. We look forward to all of you coming back, all of you tuning in once a week. We thank all of you who tune in every week to us, sitting here running our sucks on these mics. It's great.
Yeah, no, I love it. Thank you guys. Like, I enjoy doing this. It makes my life better. Honestly, it's fun to do, and I'm glad that you guys keep coming back and listening to it.
Yeah, we'll keep seeing bad movies just to make you guys laugh because we definitely. It's more fun when we don't like the movie. Honestly, when we like this stuff, it's kind of hard to do the podcast because it's like, well, we're just going to walk through it and talk about how great it was, but there's no like fun stuff to talk about. But when you shit on it, it's real easy to.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, there's always enough ammo when you don't like something.
True. Okay, well, we've dragged this on as far as we can, so we will catch you guys next week for our review of Tomb Raider. See you then.